If you enjoy our content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. The suburban streets of Maple Ridge were designed for safety. Tree-lined sidewalks, well-maintained lawns, and the kind of neighborhood watch mentality where everyone knew when the mail arrived, which made finding Danny Walsh's body sprawled across the front porch of 1247 Elm Street all the more shocking at 7:15 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Detective Sarah Novak pulled up to the scene as the morning joggers were being redirected by uniform officers. Danny Walsh, 34, had been a package delivery driver for Quick Ship Express for 3 years. His brown delivery truck sat parked at an odd angle in the driveway, driver's door still open, packages scattered across the concrete. Victim appears to have been struck with a blunt object. Officer Martinez briefed her as they walked toward the body. Single blow to the back of the head. The homeowners, the Petersons, found him when they left for work around 7 a.m. Detective Novak examined the scene carefully. Danny Walsh lay face down near the front door, his Quick Ship uniform torn, his delivery scanner still clutched in his right hand. Blood pooled beneath his head, and his brown cap had rolled several feet away. What's the story with the packages? That's where it gets interesting. Someone was going through his truck. Packages are scattered everywhere, some opened, some missing entirely. Could be robbery, could be something else. Sarah walked to the delivery truck and peered inside. The cargo area was in complete disarray. Packages ripped open, contents spilled across the floor, shipping labels torn off. But this didn't look like a desperate grab-and-run robbery. Someone had been methodically searching for something specific. She examined the scattered packages more closely. Electronics, clothing, books, typical suburban deliveries. But she noticed something odd. Several packages had been carefully resealed with different tape, and some shipping labels looked like they'd been reprinted. "I need to talk to his supervisor," she told Officer Martinez, "and get me a list of every delivery Danny was supposed to make today." An hour later, Sarah was at the Quick Ship Express Distribution Center, a warehouse buzzing with activity as drivers loaded trucks for the day's routes. The supervisor, Mike Torres, was a stocky man in his 50s who'd worked logistics for 20 years. "Danny was one of our most reliable drivers," Torres said, leading Sarah to a break room away from the noise. "Never missed a day, always finished his route on time, but lately we'd been getting complaints." "What kind of complaints?" "Customers saying packages were delivered but never arrived, or packages arriving damaged, opened, contents missing. At first we thought it was Porch pirates, but it was happening too consistently on Danny's route." Sarah felt her pulse quicken. "What specific complaints?" "Everything from missing Christmas presents to medication not arriving. We had one elderly woman, Mrs. Patterson, saying her heart medication never showed up even though our system showed it as delivered. Another family claimed their son's birthday gifts were stolen." "Did you investigate Danny directly?" Torres looked uncomfortable. "We were building a case. Company policy requires documentation before we can take action, but I was planning to recommend termination this week." "What convinced you?" "Last Friday, I followed Danny's route unofficially. I saw him stop at houses where he had no scheduled deliveries, and I watched him take packages from his truck into these houses. When he came out, the packages were gone, but our system never showed them as delivered." Torres handed her a piece of paper with 3 addresses, including 1247 Elm Street, where Danny's body had been found. Back in Maple Ridge, Sarah started visiting the addresses. The first house, 1156 Oak Street, was a modest ranch home where she found Linda Morrison, a divorced mother of 2 working 3 jobs to make ends meet. "I don't understand what this is about," Linda said nervously when Sarah showed her badge. "I need to ask you about Danny Walsh and some packages." Linda's face flushed. "Look, detective, I know it sounds bad, but I was desperate. My kids needed school supplies, clothes that fit, basic things I couldn't afford. Danny offered to help." "How exactly did he help you?" "He said Quick Ship had damaged packages they couldn't deliver, stuff that was going to be thrown away anyway. He offered to bring them to me instead of the dumpster. I gave him $20 here and there for gas money." Sarah studied Linda's face. "Ms. Morrison, those packages weren't damaged goods. They were stolen from paying customers." Linda's face went white. No, that's not. Danny said they were going to be destroyed. He was helping me, helping my kids. When did you last see Danny? Yesterday evening. He brought me a box of winter coats for the kids, but then he asked for more money, said the disposal fees were going up. When I said I couldn't afford more than $20, he got angry. Angry how? He said I didn't appreciate what he was doing for me, that he could get in serious trouble. He demanded $50 or he'd stop bringing packages. We argued and he left mad. Sarah verified Linda's alibi. She'd been at work during the time of murder. The second address led Sarah to Frank Martinez, a retiree who'd been receiving packages of medications and medical equipment. Danny was a godsend, Frank said, inviting Sarah into his living room filled with unopened packages. My insurance doesn't cover half of what I need, and Danny was helping me get medications at a fraction of the cost. Mr. Martinez, these medications were stolen from other patients who needed them. Frank's hands shook as he set down his coffee cup. I didn't know. Danny said they were overstocked from medical supply companies, perfectly legal surplus. How much were you paying Danny? $100 a week. But recently he wanted more, said his costs were going up. Last week he demanded $200 or he'd cut me off entirely. How did you respond? I told him I'm on a fixed income, that I couldn't afford more. He got nasty, said I was ungrateful, that he could make sure I never got another package. Frank also had a solid alibi, doctor's appointment during the murder time frame. The third address brought her to the Peterson house, where Danny's body had been found. Tom and Janet Peterson were in their 60s, both retired teachers. We had no idea Danny was using our address for his scheme, Janet Peterson said. We've been wondering why so many delivery trucks kept stopping here when we weren't expecting packages. Did you ever confront Danny about this? Tom Peterson nodded grimly. Last week, I saw him taking packages from his truck to our front porch, then immediately loading them back. When I asked him about it, he claimed he was reorganizing his delivery order. Did you believe him? Not really. Yesterday evening, I confronted him directly. He was at our front door around 6 p.m. sorting through packages. I told him I knew what he was doing and that I was going to report him to QuickShip. How did he react? He got aggressive, said if I caused trouble for him, he'd make sure packages stopped being delivered to our entire street. Said he had ways of making life difficult for people who didn't cooperate. Where were you this morning? On my morning walk. Same route I take every day. I saw Danny at the Williams house around 6:45, going through packages in his truck. When he saw me coming, he quickly closed up and drove off. Sarah felt something didn't add up. If Danny left when he saw Tom, how did he end up dead at their house 15 minutes later? She decided to dig deeper into Danny's customer complaint file. One name kept appearing: Margaret Foster, an elderly woman who'd reported multiple missing packages of heart medication. Sarah drove to Margaret's apartment and found her using a walker and clearly struggling with health issues. Danny Walsh ruined my life, Margaret said bluntly. 3 times my heart medication disappeared after being marked as delivered. Each time I had to go without pills for days while the doctor reordered prescriptions. Did you ever speak to Danny directly? I called QuickShip repeatedly, but they said their driver confirmed delivery, but I knew he was stealing my medications because I saw him. Last month, I watched Danny mark my package as delivered on his scanner, then put the package back in his truck and drive away. Sarah felt pieces forming a clearer picture. What did you do about it? I complained again, but nothing happened, so I asked my grandson Billy to help me catch Danny in the act. Billy's been staying with me since he lost his job, and he was furious about what Danny was doing. Where is Billy now? He went out early this morning to look for work, around 6 a.m. Sarah felt her pulse quicken. What kind of work is Billy looking for? Construction, landscaping, anything physical. He's a good boy, just having a hard time since the factory closed. Sarah asked for Billy's description. Billy Foster, 28, 6 feet tall, strong build from years of manual labor. Margaret showed her a photo, and Sarah realized Billy had the physical strength to kill Danny with a single blow. Has Billy been angry about what Danny did to your medications? Furious. Billy said it was like stealing from his grandmother's heart, that people like Danny deserved what they got. Sarah immediately put out a bolo for Billy Foster. The medical examiner confirmed death by single blow with a heavy object, attacker approximately 6 feet tall. 2 hours later, patrol officers found Billy Foster at a construction site. At the station, Sarah could see he was nervous but trying to appear cooperative. "Billy, I need to ask you about Danny Walsh." "The delivery guy, what about him?" "He was murdered this morning. Where were you between 6:30 and 7 a.m.? Billy's composure cracked slightly. "I was looking for work, driving around to different job sites." "Your grandmother told me you were angry about Danny stealing her heart medications." Billy's face flushed. "You're damn right I was angry. Do you know what he put her through? She could have died because of that bastard." "So you decided to confront him?" Billy was quiet for a long moment. "I wasn't planning to hurt him. I just wanted to catch him stealing, get proof so Grandma could file charges." "What happened?" "I followed his truck this morning, watched him go through packages and steal stuff. When he parked at that house on Elm Street, I approached him." "Then what?" Billy's hands shook. "I told him I knew what he was doing, that he needed to return my grandmother's medications. He laughed at me, said there was nothing I could do about it." "So you hit him?" "He said my grandmother was probably lying about needing the medication, that old people always complained. Then he said maybe he should stop delivering to her address entirely, make sure she never got any packages again." Sarah could see Billy's anger building as he relived the confrontation. "I had a pipe wrench in my truck from a job interview yesterday. When Danny threatened my grandmother, I just snapped. I hit him once and he went down." "What did you do after that?" "I panicked. I realized what I'd done and ran. I threw the wrench in a dumpster behind a gas station." As Sarah arrested Billy Foster, she reflected on the tragic chain of events. Danny Walsh's systematic theft from vulnerable people had created victims with powerful motives for revenge. Billy had killed to protect his grandmother from someone literally stealing her lifeline. But in doing so, he'd destroyed his own life and left Margaret Foster without the grandson who'd been caring for her. Danny's delivery truck had become a mobile crime scene, with packages representing stolen hopes and broken promises. His murder had been solved, but the damage to his victims would take much longer to heal. The suburban streets of Maple Ridge would remember Danny Walsh not as a helpful delivery driver, but as someone who violated the basic trust that keeps communities safe. His final delivery had been his own death, signed for by someone who'd decided that some packages were worth killing for.